Today on Overexposed, we're going to be taking a look at another camera by the company OBSBOT. This time it's a PTZ gimbal webcam called the Tiny 2. And for today's video, we're going to be recording with two cameras. That way, first of all, you can see the sexy weed eaters over here on the wall, and then also this other light that hardly ever makes an appearance in any of my videos. But what is the OBSBOT Tiny 2? Well, it's a really high-tech, really high-quality webcam that you can use for lots of interesting things like recording with two cameras. And some of the main features of this camera are that it records in 4K. That way the images look really nice and crisp, and also the camera has the ability to track you. I'm moving around on the screen right now, and you can see that it is indeed following me. So those are some of the best features of this camera, and we're going to test it out in this video. Number one, to see does it make our videos look any cooler, and does it represent a good value proposition for those of you guys who may be interested in buying one. Let's get a look at the camera and take a look at its size and weight. And the thing is called the Tiny, so it really should come as no surprise that the thing is almost microscopic, right? It really is a tiny little thing. On the channel a few weeks ago, I reviewed the Tail Air 2, which is honestly 2 to 3 times as big as the Tiny 2. And obviously that means the camera is going to be a little easier to carry around with you. But I think that does mean that the camera is going to be a little more easy to carry around, but it is lacking some of the functionality of the Tail Air 2. The camera is 47 by 44 by 62 millimeters, so super small as you can see. And if you're weighing the camera with its mount, it's 143.3 grams, and if you're weighing the camera without the mount, it's 95.6 grams. And the main feature, the most important thing about the Tiny 2 is its camera. And as you can see from looking at the footage here, everything looks really good. The 4K footage is nice and crisp, and everything is super high quality, and that's due to its 1 to 1.5 inch image sensor. So a really nice size image sensor considering the small format of the camera itself. And I was really shocked when I was looking at the specifications of the camera. The camera is actually capable of delivering 50 megapixels. The camera has a 50 megapixel sensor. So the images are really sharp. And one thing that you can see, that the camera is focused on me nice and close, and it's actually delivering quite a bit of bokeh. I mean, everything looks good, nice and soft behind me. The equivalent focal length of the Tiny 2 is 26 millimeters if you were shooting a full frame 35 millimeter camera. So a moderately wide angle lens. When I'm shooting on full frame, 24 millimeters is one of my favorite focal lengths, just because I think it is a nice compromise of getting a nice wide angle without a lot of the weird distortion. So with 26 millimeters, you're gonna get a nice wide shot capable of fitting almost everything that you need into it, but also not getting a lot of the weird distortion around the edges. And the camera is also, and it being a moderately wide angle lens, the camera is actually capable of focusing really close. There we are. So you can see it's capable of focusing nice and close as well, so you're not gonna freak the camera out if you come a little too close to it. So super cool. The camera is able to record in lots of different frame rates that I don't really care about, but the top line numbers that we should probably talk about, the camera is capable of recording at 4K 30 and then also 1080p 60. In the specifications of the camera, it says that it's capable of 1 to 4 times zoom, and that's where some of those extra megapixels, I believe, are going to come in. This is not a real zoom camera. This is a digital zoom camera. So what they're doing is they're giving you lots of megapixels in a nice large image sensor. So if they need to, they can crop in, giving you effectively a zoom effect without compromising on image quality. You can take a look at the format of the camera, kind of the profile, and you can see that the camera looks a lot like a gimbal. And that's because the camera does feature a 2-axis gimbal. That's one of the reasons why it's able to move around and give you nice, steady shots as it moves. The camera has a motorized gimbal mount, which creates those really silky smooth effects. It's kind of confusing. I don't really know which camera to talk to, but we're gonna stick with it. We're gonna get better at this. The camera also prides itself on having a lot of AI functionality in the way that it's able to track images, and it also features voice and gesture controls. And if you take a look at OBSBOT's website, they have a number of accessories available for the camera, most notably a tripod head, a magnetic mount, which was actually included with this camera, a remote, and a number of other things as well. So if there's anything at all you need with this camera, you can get it from OBSBOT's website, although I am using it on a different tripod to get it up off my desk just a little bit. So actually using this camera, as you can see, I've been using it for the duration of this video, and the way that I've been achieving that is I have it actually attached to my 14-inch Apple MacBook Pro, and I've got the software suite installed on the computer, and I'm actually recording my screen so I can show you guys the settings and the way that their software works, because it's actually really effective and really intuitive. And I got a little freaked out when I looked at OBSBOT's website, because so it didn't list the Apple M1 as a compatible processor, but it did list Intel Macs. So I'm happy to report that all of the latest Apple computers with their M series Apple Silicon do work. The software is working great on my Apple. I've not had any glitches with it. But let's take a look at some of the functionality with it. So looking at the console, you can actually add presets here. So if there's a set of controls that you found that have been really effective for recording a particular video, there's different effects, zooms, coloring, different things. You can actually save those to a preset at the top and have easy access to those. You can set it to standard or motion control, and then you can change the speed of the tracking. And right now I have the camera set to track full body, but you can also click over here and have the camera track close up. And I'm not entirely sure what this function is for, except for maybe making OnlyFans content, which we may get into later. But it has a headless mode, so you can actually have it track your, I mean, this is YouTube after all. We gotta give the good people what they came for. But it does have a headless mode if you're into that, and a lower body mode, which I dare to even consider what that is about. But anyway, we'll stick to the upper body. We'll go back to the upper body. No need to panic, right? We're not gonna get demonetized for this. So the camera has a couple of different AI modes, which would come in handy for lots of different uses. One of which being the desk mode, where you can have the camera point down at your desk, which would come in handy for product reviews, demonstrations, those types of things. It has a hand tracking mode as well, where it looks like it's it's doing a good job tracking my hands. So if I want to show you guys like how to juggle or play the guitar or practice MMA fighting, I don't know, the camera will actually track your hand, so that's pretty sweet as well. So unfortunately, I'm just in the garage with my cats and there's not a group of people around. I spend my Friday nights how I like to. I don't know how you guys spend your Friday nights. But anyway, it has a group function mode as well, so it's able to try to fit everybody in. With this setting here, you're able to change the amount of zoom. So if I want a little tighter shot, I can adjust the zoom so it's a little more zoomed in on my face, but I'm getting a little older and have wrinkles, and we don't necessarily want that. And then we have the image section of the software as well, which is going to show you many of the other different types of exposure modes that the camera can use. I toggled off auto there and turned auto back on. That's just making the footage adjusted, makes it the camera's using its best interpretation of what would be some good exposure settings. It's got anti-flicker if you were potentially filming under fluorescent lights. You can adjust the white balance here, contrast, saturation, lots of fun stuff. It's something that would be more appropriate for my daughter. She would be interested in the beauty face, and in the interest of fully reviewing this product, we're gonna test out the beauty face modes here. So there's the native, look at that, sexy. They can't do anything for that scraggly beard though, can they? There's native, classic, kissy face, Lila's winky face. And there's men, so that's my preset there. Make me a very beautiful man. It looks like it's got more profound body slimming, leggy, legs, waist, shoulder, head, lots of stuff there as well. And it's got filters down here as well, so that's cool. We got a nature filter, a fresh filter, a clear filter, a crystal filter. And honestly, they all look pretty great. I'm just gonna be honest. I think the fresh filter is pretty nice, except it makes my hair look a little orange. Clear doesn't look bad. And then you can change the level, so if you want to intensify those, all that's there as well. And then there's some more settings here. You can actually change your background, which is going to use the AI functionality to cut out your background. So if you're actually using this like an actual work thing, you can put a more professional background on in the background as well. I can't wait to break this out in like a Zoom meeting at work. Like I'm gonna have this thing hooked up and everybody's gonna be, what the f is Isaac doing? He's got the coolest webcam around. My God. So using this thing is really simple. The software works really great on my laptop anyway. And the image quality that's coming out of this thing, as you're witnessing now, is just remarkable. Everything looks great. It's tack sharp. There's a lot to like about this camera. So the question I always have when reviewing products like this is, who is this camera for? Well, I honestly think this one is for me. I intend to start. When you see my videos like this, when you watch my videos like this, you always see a laptop or a Microsoft Surface or some piece of tech on my desk. I think at this point, I am going to try to record with a second camera just to give another perspective, just to give another angle, especially if I'm gonna be doing something with my hands, and then I'll be able to set the OBSBOT camera up and record my hands as I'm working on something, or just get another alternate camera angle to make the video a little more interesting for you guys and to spice up the footage a little bit. So a camera like this is mainly gonna be for content creators. I was kind of memeing a second ago ago by joking about using this as a work camera. I mean, obviously, so if you're a well-respected business person, a lawyer, somebody who does important meetings all the time, I think a camera like this is a no-brainer. Get this thing, put it on a small tripod on your desk, and watch as everybody's mind is blown by how good your camera quality is in your office. So folks like that who are going to be having important meetings, or content creators who want a really smart, super cool camera to track them while they're doing things, this camera represents a really compelling option. And I think going forward, it's going to provide some really unique, interesting camera angles on the channel, hopefully keep you guys entertained. But let me know in the comments, what did you think about the footage that came out of the OBSBOT Tiny 2? Did you think it was cool? Do you like the different perspective on my videos? Do you just think my weed eaters are really cool? Anyway, let me know in the comments. And before you go, if you're going to be buying anything from Amazon, make sure you click on the links in my description. This channel gets a kickback of a few bucks every time you buy something, and it really helps me out, helps me make more videos like this. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.